Alright, so we're going to use the greatest common factors as we did yesterday to create simplest form today. I want you to do the even numbers on this page on your whiteboard. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I went forward before. So here's the answer for number 2. It's 15. You can see we factored out all these. They had a 3 and a 5 in common when we did our factor trees and we did our prime factorization, which 5 times 3 is 15, so our answer is 15. Number 4, we decided that just by looking at it, we could tell that 15, because 15 times 5 is 75. All right, and number 6, we factored them all out, and they had a 2 3s and a 2 in common, so 3 times 3 is 9, times 2 is 18, so number 6, 18 was our answer. All right, so how do you know if a fraction is in simplest form? How would you know? All right, now that Mr. Penny got us off topic, let's talk about this. How do we know if a fraction is it? Yes. It can't go any lower without being the same. I think I know what you're trying to say. I don't think you said it very well, but I think I get you. Can anybody say it better? Yes.
If you can't divide it by anything else, then it's in its simplest form.
If you cannot divide it by anything else, then it's in its simplest form. What kind of numbers can you divide a fraction by to reduce it? It has to be a certain kind of number. And it has to be something that the numerator and the denominator have in common. Yes.
The same number?
A common factor. If the numerator and the denominator do not have a common factor, it's reduced and it's in its simplest form. This is why we spent all day yesterday working on common factors. Coming up with the greatest common factor, okay? So, for example, 1/3. The factors of 1 are 1, and the factors of 3 are 1 and 3. When the only common factor is 1, you're done. You guys understand that? Yes? Okay. Now, let's say that we had 3/6. What's the greatest common factor of 3 and 6?
3.
3. So I can divide this. Do you remember why I want to divide it by 3 over 3 instead of just dividing the top and bottom by 3? You guys remember what I told you? Why am I going to do it like this? There's 2 reasons. Nobody can remember either reason. What does 3 over 3 equal to? Is that better? A whole or 1? What's anything divided by 1? It's the same thing, right? So because 3 over 3 is equal to 1, when I divide 3/6 by 3 over 3, I'm dividing it by 1. So when I get 3 divided by 3 is 1, 6 divided by 3 is 2. This 1/2 is the same number that I started with. So that's how we reduce, okay? So we find the common factor, we make it into a fraction that's equal to 1, and then we divide. If there is no common factor, it's in simplest form already. So what does a fraction have to have in order for you to know that it's not in simplest form? Yes, ma'am. A common factor. Thank you. Okay. So now we're going to draw a line to match each fraction with its simplest form. If its fraction is already in simplest form, draw a line to match it in simplest form. Okay? So, 15 over 21. Is there a common factor? What is the common factor of 15 and 21? Yes, sir. 3. So I can divide this by 3 over 3. Fifteen divided by 3 is 21 divided by 3 is 7. So there we go. 8 and 12. Is there a common factor of 8 and 12? Caught this. 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is what? 3. So 2/3, right? Next one, 18 and 24. Six. Okay, so 18 divided by 6 is 24 divided by 6 is, so that's 3/4. D, 7 and 17. Is there a common factor of 7 and 17? No, why not? Well, besides the fact that it just isn't, they're both prime numbers, right? Yeah. And our last one, 24 and 54? 4/9. Why? What's the greatest common factor? What's that? 6. Good job, Juan. There it is. Alright, so here's your first example. Angie has a vertical jump of 12 inches, and Holly has a vertical jump of 22 inches. So Angie's vertical jump is 12/22 of the vertical jump of Holly. Write the fraction in simplest form. Okay? So we're going to list the common factors. You're going to list the factors. You can also make a factor tree. You're going to circle the common factors. That's it, right? So the greatest common factor is 2. So now, this is what your problem's gonna look like. Okay? Remember, putting 2 over 2 because that's equal to 1. And anything divided by 1 is itself. That's how I know that this and this are the same. So here we go. 12 divide. We're going to divide the numerator, both the numerator and the denominator by the greatest common factor, which results in an equation. Look at they drew a nice little 1 around it. See that? Like, look. I tell you it's equal to 1. They draw number 1. So 12 divided by 2 is? 22 divided by 2 is? The greatest common factor of 6 and 11. Yes? 1. And once the greatest common factor is 1, you are done. Okay? So Andy's vertical jump is 6/11 of Holly's vertical jump. Now we're going to use the model, shade 12 of 22. Okay? So I need 1, 2, here, let me use that good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then shade 6 out of 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at that, they're the same. See that? That's where they both stop. So this section and this section are equal. Okay? One just has more pieces than the other. Alright. Our next example is write 18/30ths in simplest form. So we're going to divide the numerator and denominator by the same common factor. Continue to divide until the fraction is in simplest form. So after we do it, here's the deal. If you don't use the greatest common factor, it's not the end of the world. You just have to find the next common factor and divide it again. Okay? So, in this case, they're going to show that to you. Because the greatest common factor of 18 and 30 is what?
6.
It's 6. But they're going to have us divide it by 2 first because they saw that they were both even numbers and they just divided them both by 2. It's not the end of the world. It's just going to add an extra step. Okay? So, 18/30 divided by 2 over 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 30 divided by 2 is 15. Is there still a common factor of 9 and 15? What? So I still have 3. Now, remember last night when we did our factor trees? And we said, oh, all you do is find whatever prime numbers they have in common, you multiply those together. So we have a 2 here, right? And we're going to do this by 3. Well, 3 times 2 equals
6.
which we said was the greatest common factor, right, Philip? Okay, so 9 divided by 3 is, what's 9 divided by 3? 15 divided by 3. 3/5. Since 3 and 5 have no common factors other than 1, we're going to stop dividing. So 18/30 written in simplest form is what? 3/5. Alright? Now, this is your homework for tonight. Simplifying fractions. You're going to find a common factor, if there is one, and you're going to simplify the fractions, okay? So our guide to practice. 4/6 is the first one. The greatest common factor of 4 and 6, or a common factor, I should say, of 4 and 6 is 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, 2 and 3 do not have any common factors other than 1. So we're done. So the simplest form, 4 and 6, the simplest form is 2/3. Okay. Number 2, it says 2/12. The greatest common factor of 2/12 is 2. Okay? 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So the simplest form of 2/12 is 1/6. Okay? So you guys know how to find common factors, yes? You guys know how to divide, yes? And you guys are ready to go on this. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to work on your classwork. Oh, you guys already have your surprise. You have to finish it. Okay. So, well, hopefully the responsible person brought it back to school today. All right.
Get busy. There shouldn't be any talking. If you need help, raise your hand. I'll be walking around.